everyone, Jem here and welcome to my creative space.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the next video in my dephemerember series, and this is a challenge for those of you who are not aware, run by Barbara at 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel. And the prompt that I'm working on today is going to be number 18, mini pocket letter and specimen. Now, when I read this prompt originally, I was thinking mini pocket letter. Okay, so a little pocket with a letter in it. Yeah, cool, I can do that. For some reason, about 24 hours ago, I Googled mini pocket letter. And it's opened up a whole new world for me. Apparently, pocket letters are a thing. And I tell you what, I'll drop a photo in here of a pocket letter that someone else has created, just so that you guys get a bit of a feel. If you've never seen one of these, this is what it looks like. So as you can see from that, pocket letters are generally created using like an A4 size plastic poly pocket type thing, but one that is divided, and I think they're normally divided into 9, and they hold things like a baseball card or like an artist trading card, that sort of size. So and they're exchanged with other people, and they often have things like a shaker pocket or a tea bag, and usually a letter sent to the recipient, who is often becomes like a pen pal. And so this letter is sort of sometimes sharing a bit about yourself or you know, some other information. That's what I've been able to glean from a large number of YouTube videos which I've quickly watched in the last 24 hours. Now, so that's fine. My problem being, I don't have any of these lovely pockets that hold the baseball cards or the artist trading cards. So I'm going to have to be improvising today. So I've had a big dig around once I got over my little bit of a panic. I had a big dig around, and I did manage to find this, which I hope you can see that. Let's put my journal to the side for a minute. This is an A4, like an A4 plastic poly pocket, but it is slightly stronger than the ones that you might use to pop ordinary sheets of paper in. I've snaffled one of these, and what I intend to do is to split it into 9 pockets and sew it. Now, I'm also conscious that our prompt is mini pocket letter, and from what I can glean online, a mini pocket letter is just 3 of the pockets. So I'm going to try working with that. So I'm going to stitch this into pockets. Now, of course, the other part of our prompt is mini pocket letter and specimen. So the other thing I have got is I've put these together, and these are some dried flowers from my garden that I have had in my flower press, and this is a bougainvillea. So what I've done, this is 2.5 by 3.5, I think, which is the artist trading card size. Let me double check that. Yeah, roughly 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and that's the size that my pockets are going to be as well. And I've cut a piece of vellum and a piece of acetate, and what I'm going to do to make my specimen cards, I'm actually going to stitch around the edge. I'm going to layer them up like that and stitch around the edge. So, because what happens with these pocket letters is that you fill each of the pockets with different bits and pieces and a nice sort of front piece, if that makes sense, and then you send them off to people. So I don't know whether these are going to go into my pockets or whether I'm going to do something that coordinates yet. I don't know. I haven't kind of thought that far. My brain is still in panic mode about creating something I've never done before and know very little about, but we'll roll with it. And you know, that's the lovely thing about these challenges, is that they get you to experiment with different things. But right now I'm going to get my sewing machine out. I'm going to stitch around these. I have 3 of these that I've just put together. So I've got the one that I showed you just now. I've got some beautiful blue hydrangeas, and I've got a little this is a Japanese maple leaf, I think, that's come, and I just happen to have these in my flower press. So I'm going to get the sewing machine out, do a bit of sewing, and then I'll come back and hopefully I might have had some more inspiration. So as you can see, what I've done is I've taken off the bottom third of this plastic sheet, and so in effect, and I've stitched down, so in effect what I've done is created myself the 3 pockets there. Now, from my understanding of the videos I've watched, this is the 3 pocket version is what's known as a mini pocket letter, and they're often folded like this to be sent in the mail. Now, as I say, I am no expert on pocket letters, and everything that I know I have found out in about the last 24 hours. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to be working with today. What I've also done, as you will see, is I've stitched the rest of the pocket as well, just while I was doing it, because I thought I might do something with this at a later stage. And of course, what I found difficult then was to make the slit across for these pockets. So when I use this at a later date, I'm going to have to find a way to neaten up those slits there. But anyway, let's put that aside. I'm going to be working with this as my mini pocket letter, and I've also stitched around the things I showed you earlier to make some little specimen cards, or the start of some specimen cards. So vellum on the back, acetate on the front, stitched around, easy as. All right, so what people seem to do is to then fill these pockets, and they put a pretty picture or something in them, some scrapbooking paper that's been decorated with some ephemera, and then behind they slip little bits and pieces that can be used, and they might be stickers, they might be little packs of glitter, or as I say, a tea bag or anything. So bearing in mind this one is going to be for me, I'm kind of thinking about what to put in it, but I have had some thoughts, and I've got a wonderful box of very old seed packets, and I picked up a whole shoebox full of these in a local second-hand store, and these by chance fit in these pockets. They are a little tall, but I'm going to take the liberty of using them, and I'm going to create a pocket within a pocket. So there's my plastic pocket, and there it has an extra pocket in the seed packet. And what I'm going to do is to use that seed packet pocket to put my little bits and pieces in. So I'm going to slide these in. Now, I don't particularly want to do anything to change these seed packets, so I don't want to stick anything on here, because I think they're just so special as they are, and they're such a historical item. So I'm going to just leave those in there, and then I may put some things on the outside of the plastic envelopes. And I think that using those seed packets will sort of tie in nicely with the specimens, the theme of specimens. So some of the things I've pulled out, so given that this is going into my journal, which is going to be for me, I've pulled out a few bits and pieces which I think would be cool to put in this. So I've got a couple of bits here that were left over from when I did one of the prompts that was about beloved visitor. So I'm going to pop those in, and again it's all on the botanical theme. And I've got a little journaling card here with butterflies on and a quote that's very meaningful for me on the back. We delight in the beauty of the butterfly but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And that's a Maya Angelou quote. So that I'm going to pop in there as well. I've got a photograph that's meaningful for me. I've got another little journaling card again with a bit of a botanical theme. I've got a couple of stickers which I may pop in there. Oh, and a little, I was fiddling about the other day and made a few of these. And I might pop that in there because I think that these are things, they have a botanical theme, even the heart. Oh, it's got a little clip on it, look. Even the heart has flowers and things on it. So they all have a bit of a botanical theme. But also I found these little pictures, and these I remember cutting them out from a local tourism brochure, but they're all very much nature themed, and nature is my happy place. It's the place I go to feel calm and relaxed, and so they're again meaningful for me, and I'm going to turn those into some mini journaling cards and to pop those in as well. All right, so I've got some things to pop in. I'll finish those off as journaling cards at the moment. I also found a couple of little butterfly stickers, and they're nice clear ones, so I think I'm going to pop those. And this one particularly reminds me of the cabbage white butterflies which we get in our garden, which are actually a real nuisance on the veggies, but I thought I might put a couple of these on the outside of the plastic just to add a bit of interest. Oh, the other thing I found, I make these little mini notebooks, and I have a video on how to make these from your scraps, and if there's room I might pop that one in as well. So I've tried to pick things that I think I might use in the future when I, coming back to this journal. So what I need to do now is to figure out how to get this into my journal in a layout and how to incorporate these specimen cards. So I'm going to have a flick through and see what jumps out at me, if anything. Okay, so I found this page in my journal and it's got this lovely botanical image on this side, and so I think I'm going to do something here to attach the pocket letter. So I'm thinking in what order to do this. Right, I'm going to decorate this and fill it first, and the other thing I'm going to do in that process, because as I said in the introduction, one of the ideas of these pocket letters is that they have a letter in there, and I'm going to sit down and write a letter to myself to be read at a later date, and for me it'll be a very private letter, and it'll be partly a reflection on this year, which in many ways has been a really tough one personally. So it'll be a bit of a reflection on the year and some of my hopes and dreams to come. So I'm not going to share that with you, but that will be in there as well, so please know that that's in there. All right, so I'm going to finish off, decorate this and fill it, and then think about how to put it in the journal. All I've done is I've just popped a couple of those little clear butterflies on there. As I say, I think these seed packets are so beautiful in themselves, I don't really want to do anything too much to cover them. So there's my letter, my pockets. The little pictures I showed you earlier, I've backed with some sort of small lined paper. Came out of an old desk diary, I think. So they are lovely little cards. You can write a few lines or a meaningful quote. So we're going to pop those in. And as I say, I have that butterfly card with that quote on the back. My little bits and pieces, and the reason I'm putting these in, they've all come from other projects that I've already done for this. Not this one, but all these have come from other pages that I've already done in this journal. And at the end of this challenge, I will probably continue to add to this journal. So I'm going to pop those in as well. I've got, as I say, the little tag that I fiddled about and made the other day. I really quite like this, and hopefully at some stage I'll find somewhere in my journal for that to go. So I'm going to pop that in as well. I don't want anything too bulky because I do want to fold it up. Got a photograph of my dad, and again this was left from one of the projects we were doing the other day with old photos. Very meaningful for me, obviously, because we lost my dad a couple of years ago. So we're going to pop that one in. And lastly, I've got another little journaling card here with a botanical theme and a motivational quote on it, saying. So that's all I'm going to pop into there, and I'm just going to turn it over and tuck the top of my seed packets in, and that in effect is going to seal everything in. Now, I have already got the letter that I was talking about in there as well, so that's nicely, and that's going to keep all those things nice and safe. Now, how to attach them in my journal? Well, what I have is this lovely piece of scrapbook paper. Unfortunately, it is only single-sided, but that's okay. And this comes from, do you know, this is a pad I picked up in our local dollar store. Eno Greeting, Eno Card and Stationery Company Limited. So that looks to be the only maker's name on it. Does look like it's come from China, but that's, I don't know whether you can get those, but it came from our local dollar store. Anyway, so lovely piece of card. And I'm going to do something that's based on an idea I saw on one of the videos I watched when I was desperately trying to find out what pocket letters were. And right now I can't think of the lady's name, but I will find the video and I will link it in the top corner here, so that you can go and have a look at that. And as I say, I'm not going to do exactly the same, but it's certainly very much based on the idea she had. And so I've got some measurements on a piece of paper here, which it's all a bit experimental, but we'll see if it works. And so I'm going to be measuring and cutting my sheet, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I've cut this to 10.5 inches by 7 inches. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a scoring board. So I'm just going to have to work through this as I go. And I've measured it up in inches, and my big ruler here is in centimetres. Just to make things difficult. I grew up working in both, so it's quite confusing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure in 1.25 inches from both sides. Sorry, 1.5 inches. Yeah, I did do 1.5. So 1.5 inches from each side. And that should give me, yeah, 4 inches in the middle. Yep, that's going to work. Right. So I'm going to score down each side at 1.5 inches. I have to say a scoreboard is on my would love to have list. So might be something I look into after Christmas. All right, so from these edges, or from this top edge, again, I'm going to come down 1.5. Let's double check that because that doesn't look the same. Ah, that's that mark there. Too many marks on the paper, Gem. Too many marks. Right. And then from the bottom, I'm going to come up 4.5. Now before I score that across there, I'm just going to double check. So actually, I'm going to give that just a little bit more room. So I'm going to come up 4.25. Right. And this is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to cut along the top here. And I'm going to take this one just very slightly inside that line. And we'll see why in a moment. And if you like to be super accurate, you can measure that. So that is going to be my top flap. Now, the next bit I want to cut, I want to measure down 2 inches. Just scoring those 2 outside flaps. Again, I could have actually done that with pencil, because what I'm going to do is to cut. And I'm going to cut up this score line and this one. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So, get the picture? Yeah. So as you can see, those bits are not sitting flat, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to take a tiny little triangle like that, can you see? I'm going to do that on this side as well. And anytime you're folding something in, if if you take that tiny triangle away at the top or bottom, it allows that piece to sit flat. Now I'm going to do exactly the same here. In fact, let me think about this. No, I'm going to keep it. I was debating whether to cut it off, and because these are going to be tiny little pockets, I was debating whether to cut it and make like a triangle pocket, or whether to leave it more there we go. Okay, so those are going to be stuck like that. These bits all fold in, this will fold up, this will fold down. We need some kind of closure on here. Oh, unfortunately the bird's upside down. Never mind. And the little pocket letter is going to sit in here. This white is glaring at me, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an ink pad out. I'm going to put a bit of stenciling or something just to take off that whiteness, and I'm going to ink all around the edges of my cards before I do anything else. The other thing I'm going to do is to get my little rubber and get rid of all these pencil marks that I made. Alright, there we are. So that's all inked up, front and back. Now I'm going to stick those two, and before I do anything else I need to think about a closure. So let's put a little bit of glue, and I'm literally just going to glue down that outside edge there, and that's going to make a little tuck spot. So tiny little bit down there. Okay. So now I'm going to make a closure, and I think I'm going to, ooh, that's not folded quite straight. Let's straighten that up. How did that happen? Better. I'm going to go for quite a simple, you may well have seen me do this before. I'm going to use my circle punch. Oops, clean that out. Oh, it's not quite big enough. Okay, I've got two of those. Now this is only scrapbooking card, it's not ever so thick, so I'm going to try and just using up these scraps. I'm going to try and get another couple. Yep, just about. Okay, so I've got 4 circles there. Ooh, what could I use those for? Stop it, Jem. Right. Okay, and I'm going to glue these together. You've probably seen me or other people do this before. I've put my glue down. Here it is. And I'm gluing two together just to give them a little bit of extra strength. I've got a couple of brads here, and I'm just going to use a small hole punch. I'm going to eyeball the middle of that circle. And this one. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same on here. I'm just going to eyeball the middle of this flap. And remember, I want the hole far enough back so that the little circle is sitting onto the flap. So I am actually just going to make a little mark there. And then we're going to go onto the flap, brad through. Oh, before we do, hold on. Oh. It's one of those things I always forget. Right. Brad through the hole. Squish it down the other side. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now this is going to flap down, so the other circle needs to be around about there. So again, I'm just going to make a little mark that I can see. There we go. Now, I don't want to see those brads, so I'm going to pull in my box of washi tape and see what I can find in here. That would be all right, wouldn't it? That's quite neutral, and it'll pick up the colours and the swirls on here. And I'm literally just going to cut a small piece . Oh, that's right. This washi tape doesn't stick to anything except itself. So I'm actually I'm going to just close the blooming thing. I have to be honest and say it was a cheap one. And yeah, sometimes you get what you pay for, don't you? But that's okay. There is usually a solution. And I want a piece the same size. Right. Let's do that glue bottle up. So we've got our flaps going in with our tuck spots. This is going to come up, this is going to come down. We need some bit of string or something for a closure. This is variegated thread used for various forms of needlework. So I'm just going to pull off, oh sorry, I knocked the camera stand. I'm going to cut off about that much. It says it's fine 4-strand pliable cotton. Right. And I'm going to pop that under the circle. And tie it around the shank of the split pin, the brad, whatever you like to call them. Pull it tight and just, there's my little scissors. If you could see my craft room, honestly. Right, rid of that. And then this one just comes down and you wind it around like that. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to need to leave enough for you to see the variegation on it, but that's okay. I'm going to take it off about there. And I'm just going to tie a little knot in the end. Or two. There we go. All right, so my thinking now is that this letter pocket letter will go in here. And I'm just going to attach this piece. Now it's got 3 holes there, and I could, I guess, do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, but I think I'm going to try gluing. Now I've got no, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I was going to say I don't know whether the glue would work, but I think I've got some quite strong double-sided tape here, and I'm going to try double-side taping it to hold it down. Like that, and then I'm going to find that rubbishy washy tape again, just throw it back in my box, because this will then tone in with the rest of the bits on here. I'm just going to cut that to length. Oh, and of course it's stuck to that. Okay, so it sticks to plastic. All right. There we go. So that's fixed that in. That can all be turned and pulled as you like. This folds up, this folds up, this folds down. And we've got our pocket letter. So I'm going to put this in here. But wait, I hear you asking. We've also got our specimens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this in and leave it as a pocket, and my specimens are just going to tuck in the top of my pocket like that. Before I do, I'm going to add a little bit of something on this page, and again I think I'm going to use my sepia ink and a stencil. But I don't want to use the same stencil. I want to grab a different one. I'm actually just going to go for a little bit of script in the background, because you're only going to see around the edge. So I'm just going to get my sepia ink We're going to go for a few bits of there we go, that's it. I'm going to stop now. Right, so we're going to pop this in here. So I just want a little bit of glue around the edges. I'm actually just, I'm not, I'm going to leave it done up so that it doesn't stick. Think, 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 Gem, think. Right, around the edges. Here we go. Alright, I'm just going to make sure I push that down firmly for a minute. I am now going to undo it. Oh my goodness, it's got stuck now. There we go. Just so that I can push those sides down quite firmly. I'll just give that a moment, and I'm going to, whilst that's sticking, I'm just going to, a little bit of ink around the edges of my specimens. Right, can't find any labels that I'm really happy with, but in my good old dictionary that I've been taking apart, I have found hydrangea and Acer, which the maple is family of Acer. Can't find bougainvillea, but anyway, we'll take these out, do something with them, and just attach them. So here's our page for today. This is number 18 in dephemerember. We've got mini pocket letter and specimen. So here's our mini pocket letter. We've gone for a botanical theme, and we've got a little envelope to hold it all in. And here's our botanical specimens. And we're going to pop those in the back. So there we go, guys. I hope that's been enjoyable. I hope you've managed to learn something along with me about mini pocket letters, because as I say, prior to this I knew nothing about them. Hey, if you like what you see, please do give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help other people to be able to see these videos as well. But for now, we'll be back tomorrow with prompt number 19, which is paper bag handle and slow stitching. So there's something to look forward to. All right, for now, ka kite anō.